Boom! What's up, everyone? Welcome to Simulation. I'm your host, Alan Sakian. Very excited to be talking about art, science, embroidery, and spirituality. We have Laura Tandeske joining us on the show. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We're really excited. We're also very grateful that we encountered you in your work with Captivate, with Louis Metzger, Yan Lu. We love them very much. We're very grateful to them for making the introduction happen. And we loved learning about you at that Captivate panel. For those that don't know, Laura Tandeske is an artist and biochemist whose primary medium is surface embroidery. And as you can see, this gorgeous art to her left on your right. And yes, you can find her links below, lauratandeskemosaic.com, also sfneedleworkanddesign.org, and also at biocaptivate.com as well. You can find all those links below. And let's jump into it with one of our favorite questions to ask to start things off. What are your thoughts on the direction of our world?
The direction of our world. I am cautiously optimistic. I'm starting to see the reasoning behind a lot of the conflict as being fear-based, and understanding what that fear is, and the tribalism. I get it. It's like people are worried about not having resources and so if we can address the fear, I think things might get better. And now we all have a global problem that we can work together to solve. I think that could be a good thing. It's a scary thing, but I think humans are amazing. The creativity, the ingenuity. So I do have hope.
Yeah, to come together and solve the biggest challenges.
Yes.
So crucial.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think are the things that will help us get there?
To help climate change, you mean?
Yeah, to help us tackle the big challenges. What are the things that will help us get there?
Creativity, people coming up with just these beautiful ideas, a lot of biochemistry, a lot of engineering bacteria to eat plastic, engineering, solar, all that good stuff. How are we going to get power that isn't polluting the atmosphere? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it's doable. I really, really do.
Yes.
I was so inspired by going to the Kennedy Space Center and seeing how they got somebody to the moon with no computers. People are amazing. So I just want to, I think that people can do it. I really can. I really do.
Yeah. And I don't know.
Sorry about that.
Oh, the phone? Oh,
yeah.
That's all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, all good. Okay, so then let's jump into journey.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yes, we know biotech's such a massive opportunity for the planet. It can tackle so many of the important challenges that we face. So an artist at age 5.
Yes.
And big influence from mom. So start teaching us about this journey.
Yes. My mother was an artist and highly encouraged creativity from very young, and mandalas especially. That's where the spirituality comes from. Yes. Before I could talk, I had paper and crayons, and I would start in the middle and go out and just make mandala after mandala, and I didn't know they were called that at the time. It just pleased me, those patterns. And as I grew up through high school, my mom taught me how to embroider, and I was very, very young. And it wasn't kits. She basically had me draw, and then she would teach me stitches and how to turn my pictures into an embroidery. And so I've kind of always done that. I love kits. Kits are amazing, and they're a great way to learn and all of that. But I use it as a medium. So I've always been one of those kind of people that has to do art. If I don't do it after a period of time, I don't feel well. So there's a lot of us. There's a lot of people like that. And so I got really excited about it. It's so meditative and just so, I just love the whole idea of embroidery, this slow art. And I just kept going and mm-hmm. entered competitions and all that good stuff.
So the slow art is embroidery. I like that, the slow art, because you're doing stitch by stitch
Yes.
at a time. You're making
Yeah.
extremely complex
Yeah.
designs like that.
And unless you do it on a machine, which is very doable, you design it and tell a machine to do it, it cannot be done quickly. There's no physical possible way to do it quickly. But I like that aspect of it.
Yes.
So
interesting. And so so there are already potentials to machine make that.
Yes,
Yeah.
lots of machine done, but I it's a very different thing, hand done versus machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what was it about mandalas that because it's all over your work? Yeah. So
they're my main thing. Mandalas are for me. When I finally learned what that term meant, somebody said, "Oh, that's a really nice mandala." So then I started looking it up and figuring it out. It's such a universal symbol of the circle of life, of just kind of it captures the energy that I feel exists in life. It really is the circle of life. I just look at this and especially mandalas that have symmetry work for me. I can't really say why. It just that symbol is, you find it in nature everywhere. And I'm starting to figure out that even though I thought it was an abstract representation of life to me, it's very real. Especially when you go microscopic, macroscopic, mandalas everywhere. Yeah, and that form has just always excited me. I always go back to it.
Yeah, the circle of life. Yeah. Now, what was it within this growing up, being so interested in making your own art, and even having times when you're like, I haven't done it in a while, I have to get back to and do it.
Yeah.
What was it then that kept, like, what were those most profound realizations for you along the path of being an artist, as well as then starting with becoming a scientist as well?
Realizations and paths. Well, my mom died when I was 25, and that was a very profound experience for me. And I took so much from that experience. Basically looking at her life and what do I want my life to be, and what's important to me. And I had started studying science in school a little bit later, actually, because I grew up in a time when girls were not supposed to be scientists. It was quite sexist. It was the 70s, 80s, and I found out kind of later, so I had to start over in math, and it was a little bit of an uphill battle, but I loved it, but I also needed to do art at the same time. And at one point I was going to just stop doing stop doing science and do art full time, and that didn't work either. And I find that the two of them together is what fits for me. And I've thought a lot about this, and it makes a lot of sense. A lot of people think scientists are not creative. You have to be creative to be a scientist. You have to. Most of my colleagues are artists of some force or another. They're musicians, they're painters, I think athletes are artists in a lot of ways. I mean, if you watch a really good basketball players, they're gorgeous the way they move, and that's art, so creativity everywhere. And you can't be a good scientist if you don't think of yourself as creative. I think everybody is creative. Some people are taught that they're not, and I think I don't like that. I think everybody is creative in their own way. They may be better at one technique or another, but yeah.
To have the full creative expression of every mind that's unleashed is so crucial.
Yes.
So then,
agreed.
I'm really happy that you're starting to get into this art and science mix. But then, what was it that got you into like biochemistry, especially?
Biochemistry.
Yeah.
I took all of these tests when I was I loved junior college. I went to junior college, and it was just a wonderful experience. And they had all these tests saying, we're going to compare your personality basically to people who are happy in their job. And when I took that test, way on the happy side was one thing. It said that I should be, for my personality, it said I should be a pharmacist. And that shocked me. I'm like, what? A pharmacist? So I looked into it and what it entailed. So then I went to school, and I wanted to do the background, which was biochemistry, right? I didn't want to just go to pharmacy school, which you can't actually. You have to do a lot of background work. So I decided to get a degree in biochemistry, and I found that I loved the research part of it. And I actually did get into pharmacy school. I was there for about a year and found that I just love the lab work, the actual drug discovery, more, and protein chemistry and physiology. Just love physiology. If I didn't go into biochemistry, I would have loved to be a teacher in physiology. It's fascinating, so fascinating how the cell works, all that stuff. It's just fascinating, and all of that is an art. Math is an art. Math is beautiful. Math is just gorgeous. I don't profess to understand a whole lot of it, but what I do understand, I just love. So, yeah.
Interesting. Now, it's also crazy that you had this experience with your mother as well. That kind of you were able to take away from such importance, such drive as well. And
right.
when you end up kind of like figuring out that you are in love with both biochemistry as well as art, where did you kind of see yourself going from there? Because you ended up you spent 20 years at Chiron, and then last 9 years at Novartis.
Right.
So how did you end up getting involved with like the decades of biochemistry work as well as keeping up with your art practice?
Right. Well, I got into Chiron right after pharmacy school. I decided in the Bay Area there's all of this biotech, which is great. And at that time, the term biotech was new. And I said, okay, I'm just going to get into a company and try it, and then go to another company and just see what it's like, So I got a job. It was a temporary job at Chiron, and decided, okay, if I'll look for another job someplace else a little bit later. And I never did. I was always happy there. And I still today, if I'm not happy in a job enough to quit and look for another job, I would do that. But I've been there 30 years. So Chiron was basically bought by Novartis. So I've never left. I'm basically a career 30
years.
person.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and I've had some just amazing bosses, and it's never boring because science and technology changes so much. Basically every year I have to learn new things. I get to work with new people, new projects, and I'm a protein biochemist is what I am. So, and it's just been very gratifying. I learn something new all the time. And so my plan of kind of job hopping never happened. I've just always been happy. And oh man, how many people can say that? I am so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Really. I've worked with some beautiful people. Louis Metzger. Yeah. We'll be friends forever, I think. But he was my boss actually. Yeah. So yeah.
What's the protein biochemistry? What has been like your most interesting insights from that process for the last 30 years?
Learning, this is actually a big deal. Learning that intuition plays a big part in science, especially what I do. For protein purification, so basically we'll express a protein in a cell, say a yeast or E. coli or something like that. I have to break open the cell and purify that one protein from all the rest of the proteins. So I could do that 1,000 different ways, but with experience and also intuition of the behavior of the protein, which you can sort of predict, but not really. Just by seeing how a protein behaves, I know if it's going to work or not. It really is intuitive. And people actually seek me out because I can do the more difficult proteins that maybe other people can't do. And I just honor the intuitive, basically artistic, creative side of that. Yeah.
And then what was it about when you're after your this process of doing art and science over 30 years, what was it that got you into the embroidery side of things?
More seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've always embroidered, and I did mosaic and all kinds of things. I've always done some kind of art, but when it happened 3 years ago, I came out. Basically, they call it an epiphany. I realized, oh, I'm really attracted to and love this woman. And that I thought, I always knew something was different with me, but I didn't know what it was. And then, okay, that's what it is. And then that was a journey, and that was a difficult journey.
How long ago was that?
That was a little over 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
And it was always prior to that, you thought that it was men that you were attracted to?
Yes.
Yeah,
I had feelings and stuff, but it was, and this is going to be a very simple statement, but it's a 2-year journey of trying to figure out this. It's not that I'm a lesbian, or I'm attracted to people.
People.
Not gender.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that, because when I fell in love with this woman, I'm a lesbian, hanging out with all the lesbians, and I'm like, this isn't quite right, what's going on? So then I took all the labels away. I took all of that, and so I'm attracted to people.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of, okay, that is me. And then it's been a 3-year journey kind of discovering who I am and so that's when I got really serious about doing artwork and expressing who I am that way, not only to say to other people, but also figuring it out for myself. So that's when I started doing a lot of the pieces that I'm going to show you today.
Wow. I think so many people fall under the category of being attracted to people, and that we are just sometimes put ourselves in such boxes that we kind of, because it's like, how much do you like people? Do you want to, first base, second base, whatever, with different, same sex or different sex, whatever.
I remember, it was like 18 years ago, I remember seeing a picture of an advertisement for Boys Don't Cry. I didn't see the movie because I know it's sad, but it was a woman dressed as a man. And I remember the feeling that I had seeing that. It was so intense, and I did not understand it. I tend to like kind of the middle, women dressed as men, men dressed as women, just that whole fluid. I'm not bisexual, I would say I was pansexual. So it just is. So I pay attention to how I feel with any particular one person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so this is kind of like this, how many years ago was this with the vehicle?
That was about, I think I did that 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
The paint was fading on the car, and I was like, okay, I could get it painted blue again, or I could do this, and I've wanted to do this since high school.
Yeah, to the car.
Yeah.
What a unique. There's no one else on the road with that.
Yeah. I can't hide.
You can't hide. Yeah. Everyone knows it's you.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything. I started with mandalas, and
and the words here, can only love others as much as we love ourselves.
Yeah, that is the definition of love, the working definition of love by Brene Brown.
Yes.
And I made sure I had permission to use that as long as I don't sell anything. They said that I can put that on my art.
Yes.
So it wraps all the way around, and it has the whole definition. So things that just, this is kind of reminiscent of Tibetan art, which I love Tibetan art. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
So this is about 3 years ago or so.
Yeah, and it took me about a year. I would
do this. Wow.
Yeah, well, I would do it off and on. So like this is one piece, and then I would not do it for a while, or this one piece. This, you can tell I did that at 4th of July.
Yeah, the firework. Yeah.
I just love dragonflies and just, like that.
Yeah. Whoa, that's so. Yeah, pieces like that take a long time, and they're, like you said, they're so unique, and we can only love as much as we love ourselves, right? So there's these very important kind of pieces to your essence that you're embodying in the art that you make.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to say that to an ex-girlfriend I had. I can only love you as much as you love yourself.
Yes.
So I'll see you later. I miss her.
Oh dear.
So then, so this also, would you call this also mosaic? Teach us about what a mosaic is compared to the embroidery, compared to like what you did on the car.
Well, the mosaic that I do is actual tile.
A mosaic has to be tile.
Yeah, it's tesserae. So that's really what mosaic is. So this is a floor.
Tesserae?
Tesserae. That's what the little squares or the little whatever a mosaic is.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
got to have the tesserae and then usually not always grout, but yeah, that's kind of the definition of a mosaic.
Mosaic is almost always tile.
Tile,
And
glass,
porcelain, and tesseraes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
So there's
yes.
little differences in the art of the squares.
Yes.
Is the idea? Okay.
Yeah, or different shapes. But you can see the similarity in my work, more mandalas, right?
You put mandalas in
Almost everything.
Yeah.
Almost everything. But
This
I love
takes so much time to cut those. And
Yeah. This took 2.5 years, but I work full time. So most of my work, I'll work on for an hour or two an evening. And then if I don't feel like doing it, I won't do it. So that's one of the reasons why it takes so long to do.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I love meticulous. I love, I do crochet, I make lace and all of that. And this is the front porch. And again, more mandalas.
Wow. The amount of time that you invested into the art of the mosaic, the mandala.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a meditative, spiritual practice.
Yes. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't feel well if I'm not doing it, because it's a way, it really helps me relax. It helps me think. Oftentimes I will play music. And I remember one piece I did, it took me 2 years, and I played American Idiot by Green Day over, and I think I listened to that album more than any other album because it has such beautiful energy, and it's gorgeous.
Has
and,
good energy.
Oh, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's just this, I'm just remembering what it was like listening to that music and doing that work. It's just wonderful. It's healthy for me, is a way I would describe it. So this piece, I did this for a friend of mine. He actually is an artist, and he gave me a watercolor of this. So the watercolor was a little bit bigger than this screen. And so I turned it into a little teeny embroidery. And I said to him, if you give me that painting, I'll do an embroidery for you, but I get to show it because this is going to be kind of the pinnacle of my work.
Wow.
And so that's why this took me 10 years to do. It's done with really, really fine rayon thread on silk. So the blue in the back is silk. And it all has to do with my friend. He was a gay man, and he loved flowers and all of that. That's what all of this is about, the rainbow.
Yes.
He is Native American and Puerto Rican. But a lot of the work that he does has Oriental feel, just Japanese, Chinese. So there's Japanese tea garden there with the American Indian, and then American Indian, the phoenix, which is Japanese.
Wow.
And he loves dragons. So it's kind of all about him. And then I got my Tibetan stuff in there too.
Yeah. What a gorgeous piece.
Now this I did before I had any color theory. So it was all trial and error. When you're working with color with this intense blue, for example, you put a red next to a blue, it turns purple. So I learned so much doing this.
Put a red next to a blue, it turns purple.
Yeah, so if you were to put like one single thread next to the blue, because it mixes.
Ooh, because it's a single thread. When it's a single thread. Interesting. It's color theory.
Color theory.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Even a single thread.
Yeah. And so I would do it, and then I'm like, that doesn't look right, and I have to rip it out. This is something my mother taught me.
Damn.
If you don't like it, rip it out.
Rip it out, because at the very end, you're going to want it changed. And
exactly.
you may as well have it changed earlier.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
and then in the final product.
Yeah.
And you said this was made with some very thin thread.
Very fine, very thin thread, yeah. Now this piece won Best in Show at the California State Fair, which is a big deal.
Whoa.
There's 81 county fairs, and then to get into the State Fair competition, at that point there's like 35 million people in California.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of competition, and so it was a big deal. And it made me really happy to win Best in Show.
Best in Show, State Fair.
State Fair. I got a little statue of a bear. It's cool.
Yeah.
And that also went on tour with the Embroiderers Guild for 2 years in the United States and Canada.
Whoa.
Which was amazing. It was the 16th. It was a biannual tour. And so to get into that was a very big deal. So that's what I meant when I said you can't have it for a while. So that was basically on tour for many years.
It went on tour?
Yeah.
Whoa, with the Embroiderers Guild?
Yes. So there were, and it just went all over
U.S. and Canada.
U.S. and Canada.
That's so neat. This is a really powerful piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a cool pinnacle of embroidery and your essence that you've now gotten to share with so many people around the United States and Canada. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it comes with so many cultures, like you said, too. Mm-hmm. Dragon, Japanese, Native American as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really a melting pot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, cool. So then, the essence of what of what you're communicating to with things like this. So this hummingbirds. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this, well, especially the hummingbird. Actually, all right, I want to show you this jacket. This I did for a friend of mine. His name's Craig Rowski, and he is just a dear friend. He's one of the first people that I came out to, and just really sweet. He is a scientist and an artist, activist. He's an Occupy organizer, just on the front lines. And now he's got a startup called Panda Nutrition, and doing just beautiful science. So what this is basically it's a portrait of how I see Craig. So an abstract portrait, so a mandala. So I thought about him when I was designing. I don't actually draw it all out. I do it as I go, right? So I did this mandala first, and it just, I would think about him, and when I stand back and look at him, I'm like, yeah, that is Craig. And especially this one. This one I had the idea of energy and light. So a light is a particle and a wave, and so that's where these little stitches come in. I was thinking particle and wave, and just through experience, I really like the idea of these alternating dark and light. They're called chain stitches, and it just vibrates, right?
Try not to cover your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice. Thanks, Ron.
And so that is, so that's kind of the portrait that I did for Craig. But the first thing he asked for were these. I had them on my jacket, and he has earned these with the activism and Occupy organizers, and he asked for also these, which you probably recognize as an activist. But I decided I wanted to do them in complementary colors, so they just pop.
Fight the power.
Exactly. So I really would like, when he'll get up there again with the bullhorn, right? I'd love for him to wear this. And stand back, I'm doing science. I got that
Stand
from
back,
him.
I'm doing science.
But I was going to talk about the hummingbird. He was the one who asked for a hummingbird.
Wow.
A hummingbird is a symbol of communication and just being 100% present. For example, we're talking right now, and I am striving to be here 100% listening,
likewise,
and
yes.
right. And so that is the idea there, and the four quarters, north, northeast, south, and west is what the idea there. And I thought so long how I was going to do it. And the sketch of the bird actually just took maybe 10 seconds. And I loved how it turned out, and so I've been doing more of them. That's what that is. I have them on my jacket.
I do love the way that you have the sketch of it is really strong, and it makes it quite easy to actually embroider when one of the wings is out. And, and it kind of looks like potentially both, but then the tail goes down, the body. It's all kind of, you see half, it's a half. Yeah.
But actually, the hummingbirds don't do this. That's not a position. It's almost more.
Yeah, they're way out.
It's kind of Egyptian, is the way
It's kind of Egyptian. Yeah.
And so I like it. It's very much a symbol. The other thing that I did for Craig, and he asked for, was the elephant, and which stands for wisdom.
Okay.
And this is actually the first. I would call them spirit animals. I've done a number of different things, but it's kind of the style. So this is an actual elephant, a mama elephant that I got off the internet. It's just an outline, her outline.
Okay.
And the little nick in the ear was just a shadow, but I liked it. It gave her character.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's so small.
Yeah.
But
I just
the little nick in the ear right there.
I have another one that might
gives character. That's so cute. Yeah.
And he wanted to wear this. He took a trip to India and he wanted to wear this, so I had a deadline. That was But so that's for Craig.
There's so much on even just one jacket.
Yes, but he's such an inspiration for me, and he's so dear to me, and it means the world to me to give this as a gift. And so, but I get to, again, I was able to bring it here. I went and said, hey, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I need the jacket back.
Aww.
So, but I'll get it back to him. But yeah, so that's kind of where the idea of this comes from. This thread here, glow in the dark.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's glow in the dark thread.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
How fun is that? So this was a sample. It's basically part of a challenge for the San Francisco School of Needlework and Design, which I discovered about a year ago. Fairly new school. Somebody told me about it. I went and checked it out, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's in San Francisco on Union Square.
Wow.
They have well over 3,000 books that are available to anybody to look at.
Whoa.
You can't take it with you, but the place is open. You can go and check it out. Beautiful classes. It's nonprofit. You can be a brand new beginner, never picked up a needle, or designers go there. People have been doing this for years and years and years. The founders went to the Royal Needlework School in London.
Yep.
And then they came here and decided to start something similar here.
In San Francisco?
Yeah.
The Royal Needlework School.
Yeah, they do all the royal stuff, all those wedding dresses and the coronation and all of that. Yeah. It's pretty wild. But it's a beautiful school, and I'm so happy to be associated with them now. I'm now a guest teacher there.
I love that.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, guest teaching needlework. Yeah. Whoa.
This is a piece I did for Kelly Paschal Hunter. So I was wearing some of my embroidery, and I was standing in line for taco, and she saw it and decided, she said, I have to have that jacket. And so we started talking, and it turned out that she had a gallery just across the street from where we were in downtown Oakland, talking, and we decided that it would be fun to have me sit in the gallery and actually work. And I said I would do this jacket for her. So this is hers. So I did this piece in her gallery, which was really kind of fun because people would come in, especially kids who have never seen anybody embroider before. They could see me in there doing it. Yeah. And so it was basically like a live exhibit.
A live exhibit.
Yeah, it was so fun. And after a while I brought equipment so people could have a hand at it. I taught them a stitch or two, and it was fun. I think that's where I got the teaching bug.
Yeah. As a live exhibit, you're gonna. It's what you said about kids is interesting to me because we have quite a in many ways when children are born in metropolises, they don't necessarily get the opportunity to look up at the Milky Way. So when we just see clothing and just you can buy it at a store, we don't actually see people doing embroidery work, and we don't actually know about the cotton that it was used for, right? So it's important to like dive into, double click into what a piece of clothing even is and how it got there.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So then this one, image 10,
Okay, this is on a previous jacket that I had. This is when I was coming out, and I'm a scientist, so I did a lot of research. Well, what is it to be part of the LGBTQ plus community, right? What does the rainbow flag mean? And so Gilbert Baker designed it at the request of Harvey Milk. And so this is what the colors mean. Serenity, life, healing, sun, nature, art, harmony, and spirit.
Yeah.
And I just love that.
Yeah.
And I actually have a little story about when I first was coming out. It's a scary thing. It just is. Especially when I started doing research and seeing the oppression and it can be very dangerous to be LGBT in some parts of the community. I have never had a problem here because we live in the Bay Area. It's wonderful. But I went for a walk and I saw in my neighborhood somebody had a rainbow flag, and I can't tell you, I didn't know who they were. It just made me just this glowing right here. I felt welcome.
Yeah.
So I actually wrote them a note and told them a little bit my story, and so the rainbow flag actually means a lot to me for that reason. We became friends, and and then I find out there's just this huge community where I live.
Yes.
I didn't even know it.
Yes.
So.
The ability for us to provide space and time for those that want to express themselves and in a way that is open-minded and loving and caring is critical. So then how about I'm so interested in of course just so many questions about the actual art and science and spiritual processes that are happening here. We have a couple more images to show too.
I hope that I can. And something happened with this. Hold on.
No worries. 11 is the. What is this? 5. It's 5. What do you call those? Those are mandalas as well.
Oh yeah.
Right? 5 mandalas.
Yeah, that's a sampler that I did for the San Francisco School of Needlework and Design. They have an advanced program for surface embroidery, and they asked if I would do a sampler in my style. So of course they're mandalas, right? And each circle is a different type of surface embroidery.
Okay, sorry.
No worries, this is the next task.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, I thought.
There we go.
Sorry.
No worries.
No problem. So they asked me to do this, and so they're just different stitches, different. So this particular one is basically all knots. So, and this one is composite. So there's different kinds of. So you would be amazed how many stitches there are.
Yeah.
to this one, these are called complex, and so you can see they're kind of woven. This is fuzzy. These come out. They're.
Oh, they have a little bit of a 3-dimensional.
3D, exactly right.
Whoa.
These are all filling stitches, and these are all line stitches.
Oh my gosh! So there's like.
So much.
so some of the stitches are. You kind of have a little bit of, is it like excess material so that you can also like push it in a certain way so it can be like, so you can create kind of this sort of, you stitch it in and out, and then you have a little bit of extra so you can like kind of like.
Yeah. Well, this is actually one of my very favorite stitches. This is called a fly stitch.
A fly stitch.
And what I like about it, you'll see it a lot in my work. All it is you come up, you come down, and then you do a little anchor stitch above.
Oh, okay. The anchor stitch.
Yeah,
so it stays there too then. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, but I love the way the light catches, and it's got a lot of movement. The hummingbird wings are done with this stitch here.
Yep, that's how the wings are done.
Yeah.
Oh, the chain stitch.
This is a chain stitch, one of my very favorite stitches, and it's because I like to think of what that stitch means to me. It's a chain. It's this, how we're all linked together.
Yeah.
So especially when I do these background patterns, which I love, that's what I think about when I'm doing it. And I do a lot of lettering, and often I use the chain stitch for that. And I like to write in cursive.
Like we just saw.
Yeah, like down here.
Down there too, yeah.
That's all chain stitch too.
Yeah.
And I have another example of that.
Just so many differences. Yeah, I'm so happy that even the start of the breakdown of the different embroidery tactics, what do you call them? An embroidery style?
You mean like surface embroidery is a...
Like, there's that breakdown, and then there's the breakdown of the
I would call them types.
Oh,
types of stitches.
Types of
stitches. So this is a filling stitch, this is a composite stitch, that's a knot stitch, so that's just a type of stitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and in books they're all broken down, yeah.
Okay. So there's types of stitches, and then there's places to embroider, and this is surface embroidery.
Yes.
And what are the other embroideries?
Just for, as an example, there would be gold work. So like a lot of the coronation stuff, you'll see all of this really shiny gold work, like a crown that comes out.
Oh.
Or on Game of Thrones, the embroidery on Game of Thrones is gorgeous.
Yes.
A lot of gold work there. You have cross stitch, you have knotted stitch, there's something called white work and black work. There's all of these things, some of them I'd never even heard of before.
Yes.
I thought I did embroidery. I do one kind of embroidery. Yeah.
With a bunch of different stitch types.
Yes.
These are all chain stitches.
These are chain stitches. And this particular design I just did, I'm going to be teaching a class every Thursday at 7 o'clock at Counterculture Labs.
Oh, sweet.
Called Bioembroidery.
Bioembroidery.
How fun is that?
I love it. Counterculture Lab, shout out. We love you.
Yeah.
That's where I learned to do PCR.
Oh, yeah.
We love counterculture.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, Mario had the idea to do a mashup of embroidery and science, and I thought that was great. So this is the first design that I came up with. I looked at a bunch of...
Love it.
Yeah, so this is the carbon
They're
atom.
going to start with this.
Well...
Ish.
It's very, very casual. So this is available if people want. People can bring whatever, whatever they want to do, and we're encouraging to embroider on clothes. So especially if they have experience, they can do whatever design they want. But I'm going to have a bunch of design tools and everything, and I'll be there basically just to help. There's a lot of creative people out there. So this is available if somebody wants to do this, absolutely. But certainly don't have to.
Yeah.
It's going to be very casual. So every month we're going to get together just, at 7 o'clock and have a good time. Everything's been donated by the San Francisco School of Needlework and Design.
That's so nice of them too.
It is so nice.
So them as a nonprofit are donating for the bio embroidery class at Counterculture Labs.
Yes.
And you're doing it once a month.
Once a month.
Okay, on Thursday.
On Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Thursday
at
at
the
7
Omni
o'clock.
Space.
At the Omni Space. Over in the East Bay in Oakland.
Yeah.
So for those that are local and interested.
Yeah, and the first one is this Thursday. I'm really excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's going to be fun. And actually the next design is another one that I came up with for them. And this is in chain stitch. It's in glow-in-the-dark thread. And this is the molecular structure of psilocybin. So, and I have...
It's glow in the dark, it's chain stitch, it's psilocybin.
Yeah.
So that's funny, people can walk around with that. And
Yeah. But I also have structures for ATP or all kinds of different chemical structures.
That's
Not
great.
Huge ones, but
what a fun way to increase people's awareness. Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the idea of kind of like a lot of the work in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
cool.
yes. Yeah. And actually, if I could get into, we talked a little bit about what is art and what is art to me.
Yes, please.
So back when I was 20, I thought art has to be in a frame and hanging on a wall and being in a museum. And it really, it doesn't. I learned. So I did a bunch of pieces in frames, and they're good. They're very pretty. But there's a distance to them. They have a one-dimensionality as I look at them. When I look at the work that I've done on clothes, those have real spirit, So what I like, especially about embroidering clothes, or even doing work on the car, or something that's going to be actually be seen, you can communicate what you want to communicate.
That's so cool.
Art to me is about communication, 100%. You know, whatever it is you want to communicate. If it's something, oh, this is beautiful, that's what you want to communicate, that this, whatever it is beautiful. Oftentimes I'm communicating, this is who I am. That's been my journey for the last three years, figuring out who I am and presenting that to the world. This is who I am. If we were to go over one of the jackets that I brought, or even this, you'd learn a lot about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, but just even quickly, holy cow,
sure.
that's so cool that, yeah, if you're just trapped, the art's trapped in a museum, people have to go to it and look at it, versus if you're wearing the art, if you're driving the art, yeah, you're like, and you're communicating spirituality or love, right? All these different critical pieces to our cohesion, our social fabric. I think that's an excellent way of describing what you're just passionate about, and hopefully that we can get other people excited.
I hope
more.
so. I really, really do. Yes.
Okay, let's hit it.
Let's talk about this.
Yes.
This, I did this maybe 2 years ago. I was really in the middle of it. I was having a dream, and I dreamt that the person that I was living with at the time had invited into our house a mountain lion.
Whoa.
And the mountain lion was sitting on the back of a couch like this, big mountain lion, just kind of eyes half closed, you know, just resting the way cats do, you know. And I was looking at this mountain lion thinking, he's crazy. This mountain lion could kill me. I mean, why would he invite this mountain lion into our house? And yet I wasn't afraid of it. And it was I didn't understand the dream, but it was very, I don't know, it made me feel good. So I have a wonderful therapist that I've been talking to through this whole journey, and she said that oftentimes in dreams, whatever you're dreaming about represents you.
Interesting.
And I thought about that, and I'm like, wow, I love that idea, because mountain lions are, they waste nothing. They are just so powerful. They can take care of themselves, and yet they're very loving and very kind. They aren't as solitary as you might think. They actually do help each other. And when I thought about that, it gave me it empowered me a bit. And I really liked that idea. And so I had the idea to do kind of a spirit mountain lion. That's what this is. But you know, you'll never find a blue-eyed mountain lion.
That's so cool.
I have blue eyes, so I decided to make it blue eyes.
There are no blue-eyed mountain lions?
No.
No?
No.
All brown?
All brown.
All brown?
Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. But that's why the eyes are blue. Oh, I'm so sorry about the phone.
You're good.
Again, the hummingbird is about communication. The mandala that's around here is very delicate. It's just, I wanted to give the sense of how kind of complex and delicate the human spirit is.
Yeah.
And then around here, I decided, I'm not shy anymore, but I was. And I decided I wanted to light a fire. And so what this is actually is the Pansexual Flag.
Okay.
That's what this is.
Okay.
And these colors behind it are fire.
Oh, whoa.
So
cool.
I wanted to light the fire.
Cool.
Get that? So
look at how much meaning there is in there's so much representation.
Yeah, and even if you look at that and you don't know that's what it means, I would imagine you can look at it and feel that that symbolism is there.
Is there, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that, I love doing that.
It's so well done, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just, I just love doing it.
Do you have any feeling about the commercialization of art and embroidery to the point where it can potentially more and more people can wear things like that, maybe rather than a piece of clothing that is from one of the major retailers or something like that?
You mean doing it themselves,
or just even like the commercialization of it by machine or etc., just to be able to get more people being like, wow, it's that type of stuff.
Yeah. I love actually the idea of taking a design and putting it to a machine and maybe not necessarily mass producing it, or even mass producing it, and making art, making your clothing a statement.
Yes,
who
correct.
you are.
Yes.
A lot like a tattoo.
Yes.
That's how I think of these.
Likewise. Yes.
And so I would love to see that and have more artistic value that you can bring to your clothes.
Yes.
You know?
The clothing is a statement. That's so true.
Yeah. It really is.
We've been trying to help shift the tide away from suit coats and heels and makeup to let's have fun. Let's represent ourselves with peace, unity, love, all the spirituality.
Or whatever represents
whatever
you.
represents you.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to wear,
We don't want to know what Ron would be wearing. What represents Ron. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to wear sweatpants and t-shirts to work, and now I really do kind of present myself the way more authentically.
Yeah. So, will you give us the sort of give us the grand thesis between the art and the science? Growing up and doing all the embroidery, and then the art and the biochemistry, but then the communicative side of all of this and the spiritual side of all of this. What is the
grand thesis?
Yeah.
Well, I think that the intersection again of art and science and understanding that we don't need to be pigeonholed. Scientists don't need to say, okay, I'm a scientist, therefore I'm not creative. I have to just do this, or I love the idea of bringing maybe artists and the artist side into the scientific world.
Yes.
And creating a different vocabulary, so
that right there is so much, even just that.
So just create and think. It's all about thinking about outside the box, especially when you need to be creative as a scientist.
Correct.
Yeah.
And even for the artist to think scientifically as well. It's interesting for both sides. Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you heard antidisciplinarian yet?
No.
Antidisciplinary, I thought that was so interesting. I think what it means is that you're taking something like biochemistry and you're saying, okay, well, blockchain has nothing to do, art has nothing to do with biochemistry. So basically it's like, how can we take the subjects that have nothing to do with the field and bring them into the field to realize, holy cow, there's actually so many interesting things to do.
Oh, I like that.
I like that too.
I like that a lot.
And I think that's a big thesis of ours, as well as BioCaptivates. The big push for the science and art to live with more interplay.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, all right, cool. Laura, I love this so much. It's so exciting. Okay.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yes. There's a couple last questions on the way out. Okay. Well, quickly, can anyone? How can someone access the? They can go to here in the Bay Area. They can go to the SF.
San Francisco School of Needlework and Design.
School of Needlework and Design. They can find their local needlework locations. They can play that way. But then, can anyone also reach out? Can anyone order pieces from you? Are you doing that as well?
I actually don't sell, and the reason why is the time consuming. So I didn't show this piece, but this I've been working on for about a year, and it's so involved. I literally would charge probably $20K. I would
$20,000.
Because of it's kind of like couture prices.
Totally. Yeah.
Because of
it's going to take you hundreds of hours.
Yes. So I honestly don't sell. I would entertain a commission, but it would likely not. I'm working right now for a friend of mine who is amazing. You met them, Fang.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a piece right now for them It's a military jacket that is all about Emperor Norton. And they are actually going to be in a show, Taylor Mack's show, which is 24, it's a 24-decade history of popular music.
Whoa.
And it's a Pulitzer Prize nominated show.
That's cool.
It's a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
Fang's going to be in Berlin. And so I'm going to finish that jacket by October.
Whoa.
So
okay,
I'm so excited.
Commission pieces like that.
But that's a gift. That is
Okay.
not
24 decades. You're going to put that on a 24 decades worth of popular
music is the name of the show. Right, but the jacket that I'm making for Fang is all about Emperor Norton.
And
so
Emperor
it'll be
Norton.
Emperor Norton, which is a local character here in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
And so, Google Emperor Norton. I'm a big. That's actually what I'm wearing right now is an Emperor Norton. I'll turn around if you can see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's Emperor Norton. I am a huge fan of Emperor Norton. If anybody should be famous, it's Emperor Norton.
Okay.
I'll just leave it that.
Good Google search. Yes,
Google search.
Emperor Norton. Okay, the last couple of questions we have.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we alone in the cosmos?
I don't think so. We can't be. We can't be. I think that we are. There's so much out there. That's where spirituality comes for me. Is there's so much that my animal brain cannot comprehend, that I just don't believe that it's not there. I really, even on a different plane or in a different, that we just can't perceive. Our perception is so limited in the, so no. Short answer is no.
And then what about, do you think we're in a simulation?
That's interesting. The older I get, the more I think that might be possible. Yeah. When like the Matrix first came out, I'm like, that's crazy. And the older I get, I'm like, that could be. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And then what do you think is the most beautiful thing in the world?
Oh, so much. I don't know if I could pick one beautiful thing. There is just so much beauty. I mean, even it could be I was just thinking about this on the way over. I was talking to you about Fang. At one point, Fang was walking towards me, and what just struck me as being so beautiful. I literally could not breathe. I've never swooned like that before. I could not breathe, and it was just that beauty, and the beauty is also that feeling that I felt. Beauty is perception, I think. So I really couldn't nail it down, but so much. I look at the Hubble telescope pictures. Yes. Those are stunningly beautiful. Yes. And I look at electron micrographs of protein. I think crystal structures of viruses are so gorgeous. Yeah. They're beautiful mandalas.
Whoa.
Gorgeous. Yes. If I had to pick something, I would say mandalas pretty much of every, even natural, There's something called a simoscope, which I just discovered. Basically, they take sound, they'll play a note. Have you heard of it?
Cymatics?
Yeah, cymatics and a simoscope.
Cool.
So they can see the wave patterns in water of the different notes.
That's so cool.
I've literally made those mandalas, literally. Before, and it really struck me. Those are so gorgeous, beautifully symmetrical, and yeah. I could go on and on probably for 24 hours of all the things I find beautiful.
I love it. Laura, this has been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much.
Your work over the last 30 years, both in biochemistry but also in art and embroidery, is just mind-blowingly
thank you.
What you're communicating through it. How you take it mobile and then you share that with people. Yeah, that's really interesting, and I really appreciate you coming on to teach us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below on the episode. We encourage you to check out the links below to lauratandeskemosaic.com, also the SF Needlework and Design.org and biocaptivate.com. And go to your own local needlework and design locations and go and play with yourself with things like embroidery. Talk more about the blend between science and art and their interplay with your friends, your coworkers, online, on social media. Just get talking more about it, mixing these disciplines together. Huge shout out to Ron Vargas. Thank you very much for producing and directing. And support the artists and entrepreneurs and organizations around the world that you believe in. Support Simulation. Our links are below. Help us scale and grow. And go and build the future, everyone. Manifest your dreams into the world. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Peace. That's it. Yay!